are back, everybody. Welcome back to the putback. We got me and Nolan uh back in the show. Um, NBA is back, so NBA fans, Merry Christmas, Merry early Christmas. We are here to talk about the first few weeks of the season. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys go to stadiumrant.com. Check out all the material over there. We got a bunch of different sports, obviously NBA, NFL in full swing, heaps of articles going down. We got shows just like this. So make sure you guys go check that out at stadiumrant.com. Follow them on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Um, and yeah, so back. It's been a very interesting start to the NBA season. A lot of surprising teams, so surprising players. Um, yes, a lot to talk about. So getting into it straight away, we have a lot of disappointing teams, but we should start on a positive note. I think they're in the thumbnail. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the only undefeated team in the NBA. Nolan, what have you made of their start?
Honestly, man, I mean, it's pretty wild, but at the same time, you and Davinsky were talking about how this is one of those teams where if they can put the pieces together, they returned a lot of guys, but then with the pieces they might have added in the offseason, uh, I see no reason why they couldn't continue to win big games. And so far, I would say that they're winning every big game. They're running the East right now, and we were worried about teams like Milwaukee kind of being a threat to them. I
Yeah,
don't think there's any threat right now. I mean, I would say that Cleveland is by far and away the best team in the East and maybe even in the NBA right now, considering that they're the only undefeated team left in the entire landscape here. We'll throw the logo up there real quick, the thumbnail. There you go.
Big Four. Yeah, the Cleveland's been a surprise, man. And like you said, we all predicted them to be really good, but they've been amazing. And I think a lot of it has to do with their new head coach Kenny Atkinson. He's really uplifted this offense. We've seen last year. Obviously, they had the talent, they had all these guys, but he's executed it really well early on in this season. And the main thing he's done is he's got the team to shoot more corner threes. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in particular are shooting about 12% more corner shot threes, which is the easiest shot on the game from outside of the 3 point line. So it's encouraging to see, and they're hitting them at a good clip, which happens when you've got all star players. So Kenny Atkinson's been a revelation for them. And then they bench a guy like Ty Jerome, who was barely playing last year. He's been in and out of the NBA. He's been awesome as their backup point guard. Dean Wade, a criminally underrated guy off their bench as well. So yeah, I really like what Cleveland's done. Um, as far as competition in the East, I still think Boston's, they've dropped a couple of games, maybe only one, but Boston's still going to be up there. But Cleveland, man, yeah, they are exceeding my expectations.
Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, like I said, that they had all the pieces there already. I mean, we saw them make their playoff run last year, and really, it's been a kind of a project that they've been steering themselves towards for a couple of years now. You had Darius Garland at first. Darius Garland was kind of that first big piece post LeBron era that they really set in stone, and they knew they were going to have there for a while. And then you brought in guys like Jared Allen, and then you draft Evan Mobley, and you hit an absolute home run with him. And then, of course, you make your big home run move by trading for Donovan Mitchell, bringing in a veteran guard that has the experience, knows how to win in big time games. I mean, think about how good the Jazz were there for a bit with Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert and company. They were a perennial playoff team. So, yeah, to really have all those pieces really start to come together has been good for them. Kenny Atkinson is getting blessed at the perfect time. Now, I know we're really hyped up about it. obviously we'll be a little hesitant to throw too much onto the Cleveland Cavaliers hype train just because, you're 9 games in, there's 82. Not to mention there's now an in-season tournament where games don't count towards your record. So it's exciting, but we'll see where they are. But for now, yeah, absolutely. Cleveland fans, stand up, man. It's the post LeBron era success that you were waiting on, and it's here. But there's still a lot of good teams in the East, and I mean, we could jump right into that too, because they're outside, like you said, Boston and company. They're right there. That's the West. That's the wrong button. But yeah, lots of good teams in the East so far, Jack.
Interesting thing about those East standings, which I've seen quite a bit on, is that there's only 2 teams right now above 500, which definitely unprecedented early on. You see a team like Brooklyn 4-4. Nobody in the world would have thought Brooklyn would be a 4 seed even this early on. It would have been more likely to be 0-8 than 4-4. But they've
Right.
done well to pull out some games. Dennis Schroeder has been on a heater. Cam Thomas has been on a heater. Those two in particular, and Nick Claxton has been awesome. He's been coming off the bench. I'm assuming he's on a minutes restriction, but he's been really good, especially defensively as per usual. And then you got teams like Milwaukee, Philly. Philly's dead last right now. Obviously teams we expect to be in the playoffs when that time of the year is around. But right now, Philly dealing with Embiid's injury. Paul George has just come back, and Tyrese Maxey's just pulled his hamstring. So they aren't looking like they're going to get better anytime soon, at least for the next couple of weeks until Embiid and Maxey get back. And then, even Milwaukee picked up a win against Utah yesterday. Yeah, they've been struggling heavily. Giannis and Dame have been fantastic, but they haven't got too much production outside of Bobby Portis on their bench or even the rest of their starters. They started Andre Jackson Jr. at the 2 yesterday, moving Gary Trent to the bench, and I thought that was a good move. He just brings a lot of energy, hustle on defense, and that paid off for them, obviously. Utah's not a great team either. I think they're bottom of the West, but still a quality win for a team that needs them right now without Chris Middleton, because who knows when he's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to Davinsky in our chat channel about this team, and I mean, you said it yourself, you could have an entire segment or an entire show just about Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like it's really kind of a weird landscape right now. I know it's early when as we kind of look through this. I mean, I wanted to ask you, what would you say is your biggest surprise kind of on this list as we're looking here? What's your biggest surprise, and then which one are you just like, yeah, that's really about where we predicted for them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Milwaukee's an easy answer. Philly again has been dealing with injuries, so I cut them some slack. But Cleveland's the big surprise. I know again we expect them to be good, but aside from the obvious ones, I'd say New York. Obviously they did sign a big name guy in Cat, so it will take them a little bit of time to gel. But I did think their defense would get them to at least a winning record early here in the season, 3-4. They haven't had a super tough schedule either. So it's a little concerning for Knicks fans, but again, the talent they've got on their team, the defensive switchability with their wings, they're surely gonna pick that up.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would say my biggest surprise is also about the New York Knicks, just because when they went out and added Cat, that was a big move, and I know we were like, oh well, you traded with Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo in the process, so what did you really win out of it? But
Mm.
they could be a very good team, but that's my bigger surprise on it. I would even say the Brooklyn Nets are a really big surprise for me. I know it's very early, but all three of us on this show had basically zero expectations for Brooklyn to be anywhere close to that top 6 level. Because if you look at it, 7 through 10, obviously now that is the play-in tournament kind of bracket area. and then 6 and up is the automatic playoff qualifiers. So to see Brooklyn sitting there at 4-4, I mean, hey, that's fine. They'll take it all day long. They're barely, they're not even outscoring people. I mean, if you kind of look over on the right side, they're
Mm,
actually they're actually losing most of their games if you go off of that. So I
right.
mean, it's kind of crazy to kind of see where these teams are right now. So that's kind of my big surprise in the East. I mean, it's not going to look anything like this about a month from now, maybe
Right.
even a couple weeks from now. But so far, yeah, man. I mean, the East is looking like a tough, hard nosed conference that whoever can be at 500 or above for the next month or so and then make a good push is probably going to be sitting near the top, at least in the East. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, shall we move on to the West now? The
Yeah, might
Wild,
as well.
Wild West?
Wild Wild West, and the West is going to be a dogfight. It's the East is top heavy right now with Boston and Cleveland. The West, I mean, you see the records there. They've got 9 teams above 500 compared to two over in the Eastern Conference. And looking at like strength of schedule remaining in the NBA, all 15 teams in the West are the top 15 teams with the hardest remaining schedule, which is obviously because they're playing the rest of the West teams more. But that's just hilarious. Um, yeah, as far as surprises go, Phoenix isn't a surprise. Because I mean, I didn't expect them to be the 1 seed, but I expected them to start well. OKC, obviously. My biggest surprise is absolutely at number 3 seed, the Golden State Warriors. I don't know how they're doing it, but they are locking up on defense. They have the number 2 defense in the NBA behind OKC right now, and I don't know how they're doing it with the team they've got with their backcourt. Seth Curry, Buddy Hield's playing big minutes. Buddy Hield, by the way, just a whole different player to what we've ever seen. Obviously, he's doing the same things, just chucking threes, but he is making them. Golden State's kind of designed for Buddy Hield. He's
Oh,
always
yeah.
been like that since he was in Sacramento, even New Orleans for his rookie season. So, yeah, he's been a revelation for them, and they have been very surprisingly good. They're playing Cleveland. They're about to start, so that's going to be a big game to see how serious they actually are as a contender. Um, they're definitely my biggest surprise.
No, yeah, absolutely. Seeing that, I mean, Steve Kerr's just got him playing well, and I mean, I think that is what's not surprising to me is, and we'll kind of hide this here, but coming into this season, a lot of the expectations were like, all right, Klay Thompson's gone. Draymond Green's not the Draymond Green of old. Granted, what was he really doing that was super duper impactful? But he was doing something. He's part of that team. This is a different era for Golden State. But the best thing I've seen is that they're like, well, this is kind of like 2022 when Golden State won the whole damn thing.
Mm,
They put it together at the right time and they just managed to go play good solid basketball every night. And I mean, I know we talked like Klay Thompson is gone, but you put in and substitute Buddy Hield, who's just as good, if not a better, more efficient 3-point shooter than Klay can be in certain situations. So it's like take what you want from it, but they are doing everything right with
mm,
the personnel they have, and that's really all you can ask for out of it. But Phoenix is definitely surprising to me because I know all three of us were like, all right, they got their superstars. Will it work for them again? Because you
mm,
saw how much they struggled last year. So many individual players that are so good at ISO ball, just not being able to kind of come together as a team. Now they're doing it. I mean, Kevin Durant's up for an MVP case with how he's playing. So the wild, wild west, and I'll throw it up one more time. I mean, this is just this is going to be absolutely brutal down the stretch. to try to find your way through the West. Uh, Houston being up there is great. I know that was kind of a sleeper team. A few of us were like, oh, they have young guys. They if they
Mhm.
can do it, they could make some noise. So there's definitely some teams in there where you're like, huh, okay, you're doing it early, but can you hold on? Can you sustain it? Can you make it to maybe at least the NBA Cup, the midseason tournament? If you can make it to that and still be playing about 500 or 6-7 games above 500 basketball, maybe our minds change a little bit on where some of these teams are truly sitting uh,
Yeah.
in this conference. So yeah, this is gonna be fun, man. This is good basketball early on. I'm jittery just because it's like, all right, basketball's back. My soul can calm down a little bit. Now, granted, I would love the Nuggets would win a few more games than a half. But hey, we shut down OKC the other night, so I was happy about that.
And Russell Westbrook, I know you are so happy. He had a big game, 29, 6 and 6.
Uh huh.
That made me smile, man. Love seeing Russell Westbrook do well. But Denver, yeah, like you said, they started off the season. Everyone was like, "What's going on?" They're not a championship team anymore, and a lot of that had to do with Jamal Murray couldn't hit a shot, Michael Porter Jr. couldn't hit a shot, and that's their two biggest shot makers outside of Jokic. So it's always going to be a struggle when that's happening. Jamal Murray set out the last few games with injury. I believe he is back today. Um, so it'll be good to see how he can contribute um, back in the lineup. Aaron Gordon missed a few games. I'm not too sure how long he's out for. But they've been getting awesome contributions from Peyton Watson, who's been closing out games for them. Christian Brown, in that starting shooting guard role, throw over a nasty poster dunk on Rudy Gobert. And he's been awesome. He's on my fantasy team, so I'm loving that from him. And yeah, really solid contributions from guys that need to step up in these last few games, and they've got themselves back into playoff contention with those performances. Another team that just keeps running into bad luck is the Pelicans, a team that I had was super high on coming into the season. Unfortunately, Zion missed a few games early on. CJ McCollum's out for an extended period, so is Herb Jones. And now I've just found out that Jordan Hawkins, who was their starting two guard, is also going to miss some time. So they just keep running into injury problems. They're playing some guys who, frankly, when it comes to January, February, they shouldn't be in a rotation. Brandon Boston Jr. Is an example of that. But Jose Alvarado has been excellent for them the last week or so. They're again sitting below 500 right now, so hopefully those injuries don't take too long. And of course, I don't even mention Dejounte Murray, who's their new signing, got injured in his first game, which is just typical for the Pelicans. So yeah, they're not a disappointing team because obviously they have a reason for their losses, but it is disappointing for them that they haven't been able to get a full healthy team out because I do think they'll be really good when they can. Um, but yeah, outside of Golden State and Phoenix, Sacramento got off to a rough start as well. They had a loss in that first game to Minnesota. They lost to the Raptors. They beat them last night. Oh, sorry, not last night, 2 nights ago. With a Sabonis triple double. Sabonis had the perfect triple double. No misses from the field, no turnovers. I
First
think the
time in
first,
like almost like 30 something years or
yeah,
more, right?
yeah, I think like since like 1977. That's what I've seen. So awesome game from Sabonis. DeMar DeRozan has had scored at least 20 points in every game he's played so far as a King, which is the highest in franchise history for a new player on the team. He beat out Chris Webber against the Raptors. So DeMar DeRozan's been awesome for them. De'Aaron Fox has been on and off. Start of the season, he's still averaging about 24 points per game. The 3-point shooting has not been there, which was a big concern of mine heading into this season. Like, how much are they going to be able to hit that with DeRozan, Fox, and Sabonis, three guys who don't typically shoot the free ball well? But DeRozan's been pretty good from free, actually. And Keegan Murray has been a revelation because he has been hitting his threes, and he's also been on the rebounds. He's got, I think, 5 double doubles already this season. That's next to Sabonis, who is second in the league in rebounding per game. So that's awesome from our front court. And then our shooting guard position has been a complete mix of Keon Ellis, Kevin Herter. We had Doug McDermott start a game, which was I was just very confused by, but he hasn't been in the rotation
You want Dougie
really.
McBuckets in your game? You don't trust Creighton legend Doug McDermott in your lineup?
Yeah, I mean, if he was at Creighton still, maybe, you know,
Yeah,
but
if he's scoring 30 a game, yeah, sure.
you know what I mean. But you know, we'll get that sorted out. I hope they play Keon Ellis as their starting two guard because his defense is just and he's been shooting lights out from free, which is what we need.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of basketball left, and that's why I'm I'm excited for where it's at. I just I tend to kind of stick back a little bit,
Yeah.
um, just because there's a lot that I kind of want to see out of some of these teams still, before I kind of change up a bunch. Let's kind of go back to the East here and look at these again. If there was one team that you would say, um, would be kind of your sleeper pick out of maybe like that top six that you see up there? Out of that top six, if these six right now were in the playoffs, who would be kind of your sleeper pick out of those six?
If those top six were the top six at the end of the season, I don't know if they. I mean, I guess New York is. Do they count as a sleeper because they're a six seed?
Yeah.
Like Cleveland, Boston, New York are three teams we all expect to make it. Indiana. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton has not been playing well to start the season, so we'll see if he can get his form back from like early last year. Brooklyn and Atlanta are not making the top six. I have no faith in them to do so. So yeah, it's not really a sleeper, but I guess New York would be the team out of all of them.
Okay. No, yeah, I mean, Trey Young would definitely agree with you that New York it should not be on his list at least. But I also think Trey Young is hilarious for only wanting to talk trash to the New York Knicks. They're Atlanta is 4-5 right
Yeah,
now, and he's telling the New York Knicks fans, "You guys need to get out of here quickly, get your ass home." Like,
yeah,
I mean, good for you, but I don't know. He's corny because that's the only team he talks trash to. But
for sure.
yeah, I would say out of that group, if it had to be those six, honestly, Indiana would be who I would go with just because I know what they're capable of with the current roster that they have. They granted their playoff run was an absolute gift from the basketball gods last year.
Yeah.
But if they could go on a run again, then yeah, they have the team that can really make an impact on a game. So I would say out of that group right there, Indiana would kind of be a sleeper for me. I think they can make some noise because it's a very top heavy East, obviously. If
Mm,
you look at it, I mean, two really good teams and then a lot of 500 or worse. So top
yeah.
heavy. Out of the West now with this top six, hell yeah, give me this top six in a playoff right
Yeah.
now because this is tough. And there's four teams below them that you're like, oh, I would love to see them in there too. But out of
Mm-hmm.
the West top six right now, who would you say is your sleeper pick?
The top six right now, I get it. I guess I'd have to go. I mean, Phoenix is the one seed, but we can all agree we don't expect Phoenix to really win a championship when you've got teams like Boston and OKC and now Cleveland, I guess, in the mix. So Phoenix is a sleeper because, and they were my sleeper before the start of the season too. They've brought in Mike Budenholzer. It's a trend you can notice. All the teams with new coaches are going in an upward trend. Golden State obviously still have Steve Kerr, but they brought in Jerry Stackhouse and Terry Stotts and as assistant coaches, and they have, according to Draymond Green, been revolutionary and a big part of why their defense is so good. Um, And then Phoenix obviously brought in Mike Budenholzer, Cleveland brought in Kenny Atkinson. Um, and yeah, Phoenix not only brought in Mike Budenholzer, they did something which they really needed, and they brought in an actual point guard in Tyus Jones, and it's allowed Devin Booker to play off the ball and just be more natural. You can Devin Booker's points, his scoring average has gone down, but he's playing a much more well-rounded game of basketball, so, similar to what we saw in the Olympics when he had those real point guards next to him. As you said, Kevin Durant's averaging 28 points per game. He's in the MVP talks, but they're getting a lot of good contributions. They got Ryan Dunn off their bench, the rookie. I think it was 20th overall pick. He's been really good. Just in short spurts for them. I'd still like them to shore up their defense with a defensive center because Nurkic is just not that. Ever has been. Um, but he's getting rebounds as he does. And Bradley Beal's actually been really good as well. Got to give some props to Bradley Beal. He has copped a lot of criticism, obviously, for his contract, which is ridiculously high still, but he's shooting the ball efficiently, and he's fitting into that third scoring option role really well next to Book and Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Out of this six right here, I mean, honestly, I'll stay. I know it's cheesy and cliche just because of who's on their team, but I mean, Dallas at a 5 seed out of those six would be
Mm,
scary. Yeah, PJ Washington has been out. He's missed some games with injury. And they've had spotty shooting here and there. I mean, yeah, Luka Doncic is putting up a triple double every night, but the supporting cast around him isn't quite living up to the role that they need. But they're losing some games that are close. They're not getting
mm,
blown out by any means, which means they're competitive. And I think that's what Dallas wants to try to maintain all year long is let's be more competitive in matchups because that's been kind of their issue the last couple of years is there will be stretches where they're getting smacked around by some teams that they really quite frankly shouldn't be getting smacked around by. Now that you've got a couple, you've got your Klay Thompson piece obviously, but you've got a more complete team to the point where a 5 seed Dallas, I think would be very scary because it's like, all right, do you really think you can go into Dallas in the second and or the third and fourth game of a series and try to close it out if you win the first two at home? Like that would be tough.
mm-hmm.
So that would be kind of my sleeper out of that group. I'll put it up one more time. I mean, I would love to throw some confidence on like Houston or Golden State there, but again, early, they're playing
Yeah,
great basketball. I just, I wouldn't, I don't know if I would trust them in a 7 game right now. I think the teams below them are very capable of beating them in a 7 game series when it comes down to the nitty gritty of it. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I mean, the NBA landscape is going to change here in a couple weeks, and everything that we're talking about tonight will be irrelevant unless
right.
by somehow if Cleveland is still undefeated, I would say by the end of this month,
End of the month, yeah.
end of the month will be absolutely crazy. Uh, I would even say by the end of next week, if they can keep it going by the end of next week, you're talking 3 to 4 more games maybe by
Mm,
the end of next week. So if they can do that, that's getting into that double digit mark of undefeated. That's one
yeah,
hell of a start for a Cleveland team for sure.
definitely. I mean, they're up 15 on Golden State right now, still in the first quarter, so looking promising for them, absolutely. I want to talk about the Lakers. The Lakers are in the 10 seed now. They're 4-4. Obviously, they had a fantastic first week of the season. Went 3-0. JJ Redick was looking like a genius. Since then, they've lost 4 of their last 5. Um, Anthony Davis has missed a few games, but he has been incredible. He's the top of the MVP ladders right now, for most people at least, definitely for me. He's been consistent, when he has been playing. The Lakers, over the last 5 games, they've lost a bit of their defensive force that was really prominent in those first three games, and that's due to Anthony Davis missing a few games. Um, but it starts with guys like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. They need to be giving full effort on defense. I think it was 2 nights ago, LeBron had a 39-point game, and no one else had like more than 15, and that can't happen when LeBron's going to be 40 next month. So it's learning curves for JJ Redick still, but a guy like D'Angelo Russell, he's as he is every year, he's going to be on the trade block come trade deadline. So we'll see if he turns into trade deadline D'Lo a little bit early. I'm sure Lakers fans would like that. But yeah, Dalton Connect's been awesome for them in his limited minutes, I'll say. And Hachimura's been solid, but outside, like their backcourt does need some help, especially defensively.
Yeah, this is a roster I know that the three of us were very high on that could perform. They really could. They've got a lot of supporting pieces around LeBron and AD that you're like, okay, if you can get your shooting numbers up, if they can shoot better from the 3-point line. I know that was an issue with LA last year. They were abysmal from the 3-point line. If you can get that up, then yeah, I definitely think your game changes quite a bit. I know for all Lakers fans that wanted Bronny to stay around, the kid's playing like a minute a game.
Yeah.
And he's not doing anything in that minute. So I mean, if you want to watch Bronny, go watch the G League. I mean, he's selling out the G League Lakers games,
Definitely.
and he hasn't even played a minute yet. He's playing. I think he's playing tonight. I think is the debut for him. So, I mean, go watch that if you're wanting more Bronny. But other than that, yeah, this Lakers roster is one that is going to have to gel and mold, even though they've been together. Your core of them has been together a couple of years now. Just got to wonder if some of these guys are going through the lull of, all right, gotta get back in the swing of things. Your preseasons feel a lot shorter now than they do. Your camps are a little bit different. So just got to wonder where they're going to be sitting. If they can put it together, then yeah, absolutely. They're at least a play-in tournament team. But right now, I mean, D'Angelo Russell might be playing for the South Bay Lakers with Bronny, or he's going to be sitting at home. Nobody's giving him a phone call. Hey, we need you to come be our sixth man. So it's I would say it's crunch time right now for the Lakers, just because clearly, if you look at the West, and I know we keep talking about it, you look at the top, you don't got time to waste.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. Some of these teams are going to run away from you, and you're never going to be able to catch back up. And that's how it's been the last couple of years, except for the COVID year that the Lakers won the whole thing. Other than that, the Lakers will have good stretches, and then they'll have bad stretches, and they'll just shoot themselves in the foot to the point where they can't catch back up with anybody, and then they have to be a play-in team, or they have to be that last guy or last team in that sixth seed in the playoffs, and they got to grind out series, and they got to try to make it go 7 games, whereas they have the talent in the roster to easily be, a 3 or 4 seed and try to control their destiny a little bit more than they do by trying to grind out a play-in appearance and stuff like that. So, yeah, 4-4 right now. I don't think they're happy with, just because they know that they're capable of a lot more or a lot better basketball. Because, again, quite frankly, you can't waste your time in this conference, and don't waste what you got left of LeBron. The guy is quite literally pouring whatever he has left in the battery into this season. And if this is it, you better make sure that it's productive, or, man, people are going to be pissed if you waste LeBron's potential last year in the NBA because his supporting cast doesn't want to score more than 10 a night. That's
Right.
poo-poo, and that ain't fair to the king to play like that. on his team. So we'll see.
But even so, like the Lakers was obviously like they can do better. But you look at the teams above them, who are they passing up realistically? Then like we surely don't think they're going to be better than the Thunder. Probably not better than the Suns at this point. They're looking really good. The Nuggets are still above them, but they're probably going to get better than the Lakers are. You got the Kings, the Grizzlies are just above them. And the Grizzlies have got some really nice production from their bench. Jake LaRavia, Jay Huff, a guy who has floated around the league for a few years, actually played for the Lakers for a little bit. He's been crazy good for the Grizzlies in his minutes off the bench, blocking shots, hitting long range threes from the 7-footer. That's what you love to see. And then, Sacramento's still up there. You got Houston. Maybe they passed up Houston, but Houston's looking good right now. Dallas, Minnesota. Those are all teams that they're above the Lakers right now, and they could definitely stay better because they're just like the Lakers. They're gelling as a team. So, like you said, it's important to get wins early on in the season for this Lakers team because if they fall behind like they have the last few years of trying to play catch up just to get into that 6-7 seed, that might not be the case this year because there's 12 other teams trying to do that. So it's a dogfight because the Clippers are just around the corner. Kawhi might come back and be Kawhi, and they're behind the Lakers right now. You got the Spurs, who Devin Vassell's coming back. He's making his debut, I believe, tomorrow for his season debut. So that'll be great for them because they need Devin Vassell. They need some wing scoring besides Wemby and Chris Paul just throwing the ball around. So yeah, the Lakers are in a bit of trouble early on, but once they get Anthony Davis back, I don't know if he might already be back, but they're going to need him to continue his MVP form.
Yeah, and I think Anthony Davis is probable. I have him on my fantasy team, so I was keeping up with that. But he is probable to play tonight. They played this evening. So now, again, real quick, just so everybody understands the drastic time difference between me and Jack here, it is, let's see, 7:08 p.m. Central Standard Time on Friday, November 8th. What time is it for you, Jack?
It's 2:08 p.m. on Saturday.
2:08 p.m. on Saturday, November 9th.
Yeah.
So we're we're trying to battle that and talk about games like, oh, well, it's Saturday afternoon for Jack. They're about to be on TV right now, and it's dark outside and it's dinner time for me in Missouri. So a lot different here, but yeah, lots of good basketball going on. Real quick, Jack, I did want to ask you just because college basketball is getting back going here, and I know for the most part we've talked NBA, but this is a basketball show, so we can talk college hoops. Is there a team that you're most excited to kind of watch from the get go? I have two teams. One of them might be
of course,
on a hat, but I have one other team that I could give you. But is there anyone that you're excited to see as we kind of get into the college basketball season?
I'll be honest, I'm not too tapped into college ball being outside of the States. I am trying to get into it this season. I think I should do that. So I am going to be looking a little bit closer early on. Obviously, I want to see what Cooper Flag's going to bring at Duke. I think it is, right?
Yep, Duke.
Yeah. So I'll be watching their games when I can. Apart from them, I'm not like I said, not too familiar yet. So I'll have to do some research. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm excited to just kind of see, there's so much hype around what Cooper Flag is going to eventually be because he's in that same realm as Zion where it's like, all right, you're getting him for a year and that's it. So see what you can do around him. And they just happen to have one of the best recruiting classes in the country. KU is definitely another team. They're the consensus number one team in the country right now. They they beefed up their roster from last year. Honestly, and the surprise team for me, and I'm curious to see how they do it. Alabama Crimson Tide. Normally they're a football school. You think, oh, Nick Saban, college football. Damn, their basketball team is good.
Really?
They had Brandon Miller a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Had a good Elite Eight run, I think either last year or the year before, without a Brandon Miller team. So they've had some good basketball. Um, but now they are, if I remember correctly, yeah, they're number 2 in the country right now. So the top 10, I can kind of give it to you here real quick. KU number 1, Alabama 2, defending champions UConn. They've won back-to-back national titles. They're number
Mm,
3. Houston number 4, Iowa State 5, Gonzaga 6, Duke 7, Baylor 8, North Carolina 9, and then Arizona number 10. So a lot of like mainstayers that have been in there before.
yeah.
Gonzaga just beat Baylor the other night by 40. They 40-pieced them, which was insane. Number 6 versus number 8 in a 40-point game.
That's crazy.
So we'll see. And then KU is playing North Carolina tonight. So number 1 versus number 9. And currently KU is up 53-38 at halftime on Carolina. So
Okay.
a lot of good basketball getting going there for the college team. I'll have to get you and Davinsky kind of locked into that, and maybe we
Yes.
can add pieces of that in just so that we can appeal to the masses of college basketball that might not appeal to the NBA
For
game
sure.
nearly as much. But a lot of basketball going on, a lot of good things happening as we get into the month of November. Is there anything else about the NBA season that you're excited to see as we kind of progress here into the season?
Yeah, not in particular, straight off the top of my head, but yeah, I love basketball season, man. So there's nothing I can't be excited about right now. Yeah, Cleveland's killing the Warriors right now, so I'm really enjoying watching them. Mobley has been awesome offensively, which is the step we wanted him to take. So I guess yeah, I'm really excited to see him continue that offensive step that we've been waiting for. But yeah, man, just basketball in general. It's back.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through the scores here, the games, and yeah, Cleveland's up 41-24 in the second. Brooklyn's actually up by 6 right now in Boston in the second quarter. So
Oh my god, man,
I don't know what's going on there. Phoenix is up by 10 on the Mavericks going into the second quarter.
that's a
Knicks
good
are up
game.
on the Bucks. And then there's a couple games that haven't started yet. So the Heat and Nuggets are on here in about 45 minutes. Same with the Trailblazers and Timberwolves. And then the primetime game of the night on ESPN, 76ers and Lakers are on this evening. Yeah. And
Yes.
then Clippers and Kings are on at 9 p.m. Here in a little while. So a lot of NBA basketball going on. A lot more to talk about as we progress through the rest of the season. Davinsky will be back on here eventually. We promise. I will be back on here more consistently as well as we progress. I know Friday nights are weird, man. Trying to find that time, but
Mm,
lots of basketball to talk about as we progress through the season. I can't wait for it. I know that you and Davinsky have your teams that are playing good basketball right now and hope they can continue to play good basketball. But make sure to go check out stadiumrant.com. Go follow Jack on Instagram and Twitter. He's got his handles down there at the bottom, Jack McKenna and then Kings Things 916. Go check that out. Go check out everything at Stadium Rant. All of our shows, our podcasts, all of our written content. Jack's putting out NBA content or NBA articles almost every other day here. So go read those. And man, just so much to do. Go buy some merch. Go buy a t-shirt. We got water bottles,
yeah,
backpacks, little bit of everything. So
Mm.
go check out all we got going on over here at Stadium Rant. Thank you for tuning in to the Putback. We will try to be on every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, same day every week. And we hope you will continue to tune into the show. Until then, thank you for watching and keep it rocking and rolling, basketball fans. We're just getting started. There's plenty left to go. And man, are we excited here on the Putback. Thank you for tuning into the show, guys.